Welcome everyone to episode number 3 of KC Happy Hour. We are happy to be back here with another week, another live show. We've got our crew back all together again. Of course, we have Will Power Kart and Indy Pro 2000 driver Braden Eves here with us. A couple four-time national karting champions, offset driver Brandon Jarsikrek, and rival glove driver Brian Norberg with minus 273. We have Connor Zilish, Connor's karting's youngest hotshot, and we have the silent assassin, Paulie Massimino, here with us tonight. We'll be talking about a couple things we had over the last few weeks. We had some controversy outside of karting. Of course, over the weekend, the big story was the Lewis Hamilton-Max Verstappen crash over in Silverstone. We're going to talk about that. And that's the first thing we want to talk about, mainly because F1 race directing always kind of reflects back in the whole motorsport and what they call and what they don't call. For those who didn't watch the race, Lewis Hamilton attempted a pretty aggressive move in almost a near full throttle corner for the F1 guys. Barely got a nose in, made contact, left front to right rear, sent Verstappen spinning, got a 10-second holding penalty, came back, won the race. And the big question is, was the penalty deserved? Who was at fault? Was no one at fault? Should they let him go at it more? I think probably it got F1 more eyeballs with that level of drama heating up in the championship than it's had been in a fat minute. Compared to where it's already been, which the Liberty Media guys have done a great job blowing it all up to the point that it got even a little bit nasty over social media from the fans going on each other. So we're going to start off around the room, give everybody 60 seconds more or less. Your take on the wreck. Was the penalty good enough? Should it have happened? Should it not have happened? We'll start off, of course, with our youngest here, and we'll go on up. Connor, your thoughts?
I definitely think it was Hamilton's fault. When you're on the inside of someone, it's your responsibility to Max left more than a car length of room, and Hamilton just blew the apex. And I don't know if his car didn't turn or what, but he shouldn't have been that close to Verstappen because he had way more room on the inside.
Fair enough. And then what kind of penalty should he have gotten? Was it 10 seconds more than enough or not enough?
I think the 10 seconds was fair. I don't know what else you could have done. You can't DQ him for something because it was arguably a racing incident. So I think the 10 seconds was fair.
Fair enough. Paulie, what do you think?
I'd probably go to racing incident. I kind of think, Lewis could have been more down to the bottom, but I also think Max could have been not so aggressive on the outside. They're both racing for the win, so I probably wouldn't have changed anything if I was either one of them.
Would you have penalized Lewis for the move at all?
Nah. I just think it was a racing incident. I don't think anybody should have been penalized.
Brian, what do you think?
I think it's a racing incident, but I think it's Max's fault. Just because you're the fastest guy, you got the best car. Like, if he's on the inside of you, he's being super aggressive. Like, a few corners before, Hamilton had cleared him on the outside going into the left-hander before that corner. And Max threw it down the inside. And it's like, you don't need to be that desperate when you're leading the championship. Like, you got all the cards now. It's not the reverse like it normally is. He was driving like he used to when the car was slower. And it's like, now you've got the best car. You just kind of have to, like, give it up sometimes. Like, you're in the lead. You've got to show that you can race a championship like a champion would. And I think that wasn't really that good of a show, because even though it wasn't his fault, he still ended up with 0 points and Hamilton got all the points. So it just shows that, like, he could have given it up and just played it safe and finished second. Second is better than in the wall at 51 Gs.
Yeah, that was the scariest part of it all. It was good that he walked away, but that's probably a good point that no one really talks about, is that right or wrong, it's less about that from a driver's perspective, right? Because you can be in the right, in a wreck and still get wrecked, but the real right decision to make is to not put yourself in the chance to get wrecked,
Exactly. I think the funniest thing of everything, though, is not the driving or anything, is the fact that all the team bosses were so involved like they are in car. It reminded me of, like, karting dads and like they're both yelling at the race director, like, "Hey man, you got to change it. I'm sending you an email right now." And it's like that's so karting dads like 101. It's so funny that like in the highest motorsport, same thing, nothing changes.
Yeah, yeah, all the way up. Braden, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, it's for sure Lewis's fault. I mean, obviously, whenever there's two decisions and one of the decisions is Lewis Hamilton is wrong, I always have to go with that one. But more or less, he turned left knowing that he wouldn't get down to the apex, and knowing that he was squeezing Max to the left. And Max isn't gonna let some guy push him around. So obviously he turns in full commitment, nothing else from him. And then Lewis careens into him, taking him out. And then Lewis is like, okay, fine and dandy, drive on, no penalty, because everyone knows that it's the as I saw in a YouTube comment, the FIA or the Mafia powered by Mercedes.
FIMG.
That's what I have
Brandon.
to say about that.
I'd probably go with it's more of just kind of like a racing incident. I mean, they were both going for the same real estate on the track, and like Max gave him enough room, but I think when you look back at the video, like you saw Lewis got all the way up next to him, and you see he kind of tried to get back out of it, but just miscalculated by a very little bit. I think a lot of people are making more of a big deal out of it because of how like scary the crash looked. And I think that's why people think the penalty should be worse than what it was. I think a 10-second penalty is kind of the right thing to do. They can't do a more harsh penalty than that.
Yeah, I mean, they really, they don't do like black flags like we see in a lot of other racing. 10 seconds is pretty major. I think it's cool now that they're doing it during the pit stops versus where, it seems like the majority of them always end up getting tacked on when they can add it into the pits and let the guy rebound and try and fight back for it. I think that's pretty cool. I think in the same way that like I like, in most cases, like time penalties better in karting versus position because at least the guy can try and outrun it. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. I don't think that wreck is as bad if the impact is, if there's more runoff and he just kind of spins off because they seem to do that to each other all the time because the cars are so aero dependent. Everyone forgets too that with Max crowding him down, taking the air a little bit off on Lewis and sucking him around, it's going to make it understeer and push into him anyway. So no matter how deep he goes into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but it was like Ryan said. I think the fact that the team bosses seemed more into it even than the drivers. I mean, there was even people guessing that Max wasn't even the one to tweet it out on his own account, talking about Lewis celebrating on the podium made him sick. It doesn't really.
Oh God.
Everybody played it up, but it's the type of media we need. I mean, this week we didn't have any drivers in, and on our video. And, well, I mean, we have this here, but everyone's friendly right now, at least on the surface. We cut out the wrong parts, but that kind of drama does a lot for that sport, so it brought it a lot forward. But on the good side of stuff that brings you forward and puts the sport in a good light, we did have some new guys named to Team USA. And Brandon, this was your first time tuning for someone and getting them a World Finals ticket, right, with Jake?
Yeah, it was my first time tuning. It was a 4-race series, and I was only able to do 2 of the races with him, the last 2. But yeah, he won the championship, so he gets to go to Bahrain to represent Team USA. I think it'll be pretty cool to go there. I've only been to the Miami International Finals. I've never been to the Road Tax World Finals, so I think it'll be a cool experience to see something different.
And then how was the weekend going? Because you said going into that one, like that's a track that he knows pretty well with Jersey and should have a whole lot of laps on. How'd the race weekend go?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. The way they do it, they do qualifying and then 2 heats, and then that sets up the final. In the first heat, the one corner on the track was a little damp, so the top 3 guys all spun out, including Jake. So he had to battle back, and I think he finished like 5th in that one. Then he won the second heat, and then in the final, we were quick enough to win. Just a little bit of a racing incident happened like halfway through the race, and instead of pushing it, Jake kind of knew that he had the championship if he finished second, so he just kind of backed off and held on for second just to make sure he won the championship. So it was a good weekend.
Sweet. Well, we're going to go to our first commercial break. We've got some viewer questions we're going to answer after the break when we come back. So continue to put those into our YouTube and Facebook chats. We'll be talking to you guys as soon as we come back for the commercial break. And we're also going over results from a number of regional series that went on over the weekend. We come back here on episode 3 of KC Happy Hour.
KC Happy Hour is presented by Rollison Performance Group, North America's top karting team. RPG is a full-time operation that is fully focused on driver development and furthering your karting career. Each RPG team member benefits from data and coaching by multi-time national champions, including the likes of Ryan Norberg, Luke Selikin, Austin Garrison, and more. Team owner Mike Rollison is a highly decorated driver himself, and he knows what it takes to win. He brings that same culture and expertise with him at each event RPG attends, regularly being one of the first in the pit area when gates open, and one of the last to leave. RPG also offers individual and group coaching days at its home base at Pat's Acres Racing Complex in Canby, Oregon. Here, the team is able to do specialized drills and spend hours focused on different driving techniques and skills, preparing drivers to go out and dominate at the next race. Because winning isn't just done on the race weekend. It's accomplished by putting in time outside of the races as well. If you're looking to take your karting career to the next level, or if you're looking to win races, then check out Rollison Performance Group on Facebook and Instagram, as well as their official website, rollisonpg.com. KC Happy Hour is also presented by Speed Concepts Racing. Founded by longtime karting team manager and driver coach Mike Speed, Speed Concepts Racing is the ideal team to help you develop as a driver for a professional career in racing. Mike and his team's experience of work with the likes of his two sons on their successful careers, such as former F1 and NASCAR driver Scott Speed and highly decorated karting driver Alex Speed, along with Indy Lights rising star Kyle Kirkwood, IndyCar driver Oliver Askew, and more. Speed Concepts Racing is one of the most focused teams in the paddock. No more than 6 to 8 drivers are with the team at any given race weekend, by design. It's about quality over quantity at SCR, and it's only a truly successful weekend when all team drivers are able to reach or exceed their goals. This small, exclusive format allows Mike, Alex, and the rest of the experts under the Speed Concepts Racing banner to make real strides in developing you as a driver and forming a racing program for you that fits your needs. Whenever you're ready to get on the top step of the podium at the next club, regional, or national karting event, reach out to Speed Concepts Racing at SCR Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or via email at speedconceptsracing@mail.com.
Oh God.
Dude, I won Pro Tour that
All
day.
right, guys, welcome back. We are in tears over this commercial break because while we ran time on the first segment and didn't get to talk about it, the elephant in the room that we have to talk about is Paulie. Specifically, we have a lot of comments, and you can call them compliments if you want to, but we had some really, I would say, expert critics take a look at our show. Took a real deep analysis and insight into everyone. One comment, is Paulie shy on camera? I've watched all these vids, have not heard him share any thoughts yet. # stage fright. Another comment we saw as well. Paulie, please blink if you're being held captive. For the record, we do not hold people captive, but Paulie, why don't you blink and why don't you talk? Everybody wants to know.
I feel like I blink. I mean, I feel like I talk enough.
Okay, that's not saying much. We all blink. I would hope you're blinking.
I don't. Do I need to
So
start
the
telling
question
myself
is, I
to
think
blink
I
or
blink.
like? I don't know. Maybe I should start telling myself to blink every 6 seconds or something like that. But no, I feel like I talk a good bit. I mean, definitely more, but I don't know. No, I don't think I'm
Stage fright.
shy. I wouldn't say I'm a shy person, but
No,
You should
Paul
be
is
flexing
definitely
all
not a
the
shy
trophies
person.
in the background.
He's not a shy person.
At least not behind the camera.
See, what other questions do we have coming in? Brandon, you actually got called out already here. First of all, we've got a request, and that's for you to shave your face on live. Brandon, can you do that for us here tonight?
Me?
Let's see.
Not tonight.
Let's see it. Let's see.
Not
it.
tonight.
It's very.
I'd say we
disappointing.
should shave his
The
head.
girl,
It's
the
not gonna go
girlfriend would not be
back.
happy. No, we can't shave my head because it'll never
Maybe
grow
for the
back.
for the live show. For the live show.
For the live show, we'll have someone.
Yeah,
have to go
maybe
to
for the
show.
live show we can do that. Yeah.
I'll shave my head.
Are we having a live show?
We're having a live show next week. Yeah, breaking news. We're gonna have everyone together. We'll talk more about next week's show in a minute. But everyone here in this channel will be driving, and I'll be doing a lot of different things, everything but driving. But we'll also have everyone here at some point or another on our live broadcast we have coming next week, especially during the rental kart tuner races. We're hoping to have a drivers only booth. So all that coming your way here soon. Let's see what else we have coming in because I know we had a few more.
We could talk
Next up.
about how you can't grow facial hair.
All right, that's not true. See, right there. All right, I shave right before the show. I shave a lot. I'm clean shaven. I can't grow a mustache like Ryan, and I'm not a grizzly bear like you, Paulie, or like half grizzly bear like Brandon. I can go like once a week. And really deep, actually. But I do. All right. Yeah. All right, man.
You go far with it, Xander.
Best chassis that's not OTK.
Best chassis that is not OTK.
I think
Braden's wearing one
Braden's the
go-kart.
only one who can answer this.
We got 2 answers. Okay, we got Will Power Kart, my guys. Obviously, Kart Republic too. Vemi Kart, the most underrated go-kart of all time.
Yeah, I don't think anyone contractually can really answer that too much. We have 4 OTK drivers in here, and I haven't driven a go-kart in over a year. In the last 4 or 5 times on OTK.
OTK is no good anymore. OTK is no good anymore.
Only dominates every class.
Yeah.
It's like only the only go-kart everybody goes to.
Nah. When RPG wins, it's AVP. It's not OTK. Come on.
Oh,
guys.
here we go.
There's
again.
literally
Back on the paper,
there's
man.
literally
No.
OTK on the podium the entire time.
Nah, OTK, unstoppable. At least in the US.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Western was on rails with that comp cart last week.
That comp cart on rails.
Poor guy. Oh, we do have one more here before we move on, and that is everyone's favorite tire compound. So this will be a good one to pass around the room. Everyone's driven on a bunch of different tires over the years. Braden, favorite tire compound that you've driven on?
Favorite tire compound? I don't really like go-kart tires that much. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
You can't pick one, dude.
I don't like go-kart tires.
I like the Cooper tire.
Not even sponsored by him. It's just a spec tire for the series. You're trashing
Come
them.
on.
Who said I was gonna say Cooper? I could have said Cooper, but who said I was gonna say Cooper? All right, shut the fuck up. Probably, if I had to pick one, Bridgestone. No, I'm just tapping.
That's terrible.
That's a bad choice.
All right, next person.
I don't know. I liked how like difficult to drive the Mojo was, like the D1, because it was so hard to drive, and it really taught you how to drive. But at the same time, it's more fun to drive on like an MG.
Brandon, what do you think?
I like the MG Yellow from like 3 years ago when we used to go to Newcastle, and there'd be like 6 inches of rubber built up in every corner. That's when the races got fun and challenging. It doesn't seem like it really does that anymore, but yeah, I'd have to say the MG Yellow from a few years back.
When me and Brandon put lap record at Newcastle at like a 104.9 or something like that, or 103.9.
That was like
Yeah,
some crazy.
when there used to be crazy rubber.
Connor, what you got?
I like the Vega Whites. Like, well, I never ran them, but like when
guy.
when I would run with the KZs and stuff, like an academy, there'd be like a thick stack of rubber in every single corner, and like it was getting to the point where you had to go up on gear because you would get so stuck in that rubber, and it made it so much more like it made it harder, which made it fun. So I think either Vega White or Hoosiers used to be good. Like they used to run those like the GoPro local races. Those things had grip.
Are you talking about the Hoosiers that were run as like the R68 compound? Or are you talking about the Hoosiers that were like the 206 tire?
Not the 206 tire.
That tire was like ice. That was like rental kart tire racing.
Yeah. No, the good Hoosier.
The good Hoosier. Paulie, favorite tire?
I don't know. I was gonna say the Michelin's, but it doesn't really work that well. But I was probably gonna go with the probably the MGs back then too. Like I liked when all the rubber built up and you could barely walk through the scales, but I don't get that anymore with the fake stuff that they're using.
Honestly, can we
using.
talk about Juniors need to go back to the sticky tires again.
Yeah, that's
Back to
true.
the
Agreed.
sticky tire.
I like that. Either or 2 sets of tires a weekend. The one set a weekend is just not. It ain't
That's a
cutting
whole
it.
different debate, though. The one set
The
of weekends
tracks aren't rubbering up though because they're
Yeah.
on that hard compound tire.
It's not because of the hard. It's just because of the compound is not they made of the same stuff. It's because of
they're not made
by,
of
like,
they're not made of rubber
eco-friendly-
anymore.
No, so they will not put down rubber even if you run the sticky only the yellow. It will never put it down. It's just the
Yeah.
way it'll be from here on out.
A little bit
Dang.
different.
Yeah.
Ryan, we didn't even get to you on that one. What was your last favorite tire compound?
I mean, probably the Avinco / MG of like what is it 2018-19 that year was really good. And then the Mojo D2 is probably the best tire to dismount and mount. It's the easiest thing possible. It's a little bit stickier than the D1, which was like a really fun tire to drive, even though it was super hard. It's a little more fun than that, and so you got a little bit like more side bite, but it's not like an MG where you can just kind of go like flat out everywhere and just drive as hard as you can. And everybody's kind of quicker on those. You know, it makes up for mistakes a lot more than you would see on a D2.
Simp for Xander is in the chat.
Oh, finally here. We're waiting on him or her, whoever it is. There's a couple actually. There was another one. There was a real simp for Xander that commented on a different video. So we have two now. They're competing. I don't know who they are. I don't know what started it, but whatever group chat started that one, you're appreciated. Another view. Thank you.
Trevor.
Not Trevor. Trevor's like an anti-sim. Trevor's just here because we pay him. We love Trevor, but Trevor doesn't necessarily love us. You have to show a lot of love, though, for all the regional series that ran over the weekend. A quick recap of those. We had the Rotax Trophy Series up in the Northeast. That's where Brandon was at. That's what he was talking about, where he got the World Finals ticket with Jake Walker. He'll go in depth a little bit more about some of the racing that went on in that one. But it was a decent overall turnout. The biggest class they had, 16 in senior. They had 14 Master Max at New Jersey Motorsports Park, which is a beautiful facility. It's something that's been a track that's been long overdue to have a USPKS or SKUSA level event there for quite some time. If they could build the club scene up a little better in the Northeast, which is kind of budding again now, I think it'd be cool to have them, but at least the Rotax guys are still giving the track some love. SKUSA had their California Pro Kart Challenge, which had a pretty gnarly KA senior field at 29, and it also had a very crazy main event. So they started... The first lap was green. By lap 1, the rain came in, so they were on slicks. Everybody was on slicks. There was no gamble. And then the rain went away. The track dried back up. And that one featured Aiden Kemp coming away with a win, who's a kid who's been racing out there for a while. He's made some headlines. He was got pole at SKUSA Lancaster a couple of years ago in junior. He's been in senior. I think this is his second or third season. And then it was a whole youth movement in the entire top 3. Logan Toke, 13 years old, got a senior waiver, went up, got onto the podium. And Ethan Lampy got into third. He had an impressive run, and there were still some big names further back in the field. Oliver Calvo, Dante Yu, Pro Tour podium finishers and national level guys. Colby Dubato was up in the top 10. Phil Giebler and Chris Wareheim, some big names from the past. And Chris, of course, getting whooped up on by his protege. We'll go in P2 while Chris was back in P12. And the CKNA North Division, which is the biggest 4-cycle regional series, had the biggest total entries over the weekend at 142 up at Shawano. They had 32 206 cadets. Mick Gabriel dominated the weekend. And one thing that stuck out to me for them was that they actually were calling a good amount of penalties. That series, when they almost blew up a little bit too fast for the race directing, I feel like, to catch up. And they got a little bit of flack as they got really big with the first couple 206 Grand Nationals at Newcastle for not calling enough. And in this case, in the main event, Gabriel got a penalty in the second day in the main headline medium class, which was about 28 go-karts, won, and then got put back 3 positions for a last lap maneuver. So kudos to those guys for continuing to work on their stuff. We're going to have a kart chaser video with them later, but their North Division's been super strong because that's the original 206 Cup turned Cup Karts North America 4-stroke series. And it's done a lot. And what was more impressive is that also the Buckeye Karting Challenge was running that same weekend, which is the Ohio State Series. And that series has a lot of guys that will cross over and run CKNA as well. Both of them pulled over 20 in 206 junior, and almost over 20 in 206, or no, over 20 as well in 206 senior. They had 24 206 seniors at that one in Wilmington, Ohio, with a few more names in that. So going around with notables on it. First, Brandon, besides, of course, your guy, Jake Walker, doing a heck of a job at the Rotax Trophy Series to secure his ticket. What else kind of stuck out to you from that event at New Jersey?
Yeah, it was like you said, good to go back to Millville again. Hopefully, like you said, we can get like a USPKS race there. It's a really nice facility, a really nice track. I think it'd be good for some racing. Besides that, racing on the weekend, Justin White pretty much just dominated the senior class, winning every session on the weekend, securing his ticket for Team USA. Like you said, Jake Walker in junior for Team USA. Masters is going to see John Bonanno. Mini, another MDR driver, Vivek Canton. He secured the spot for Team USA. And then Micro, Lucas Palacio. He got Team USA ticket. So should be a good group of guys. I think there's another Rotax race coming up soon to award some more tickets, but I think that's the first group of people that got tickets.
Interesting. So that's our first wave. I think we've got the Rotax West Series, which is over more so in Colorado than anything. They're going to have another wave of tickets. But we've got, like you said, Brandon, a lot of those guys that are listed. Lucas, Vivek. I think Bonanno's already been on Team USA before, but and Justin White got to go, I think, in junior last year, if I'm not mistaken. But the rest of that
I think those are the only two.
First time guys on Team USA, and with no Rotax Grand Nationals set at the moment for this year, we're going to have a lot of different names representing us at the Rotax World Finals. You know, there's not a major marquee single event that they're giving away tickets, at least as of right now. The RTX guys in the southern half have been pretty quiet with all their events. I think they're trying to put stuff on at Orlando Kart Center. But really, it's the J3 competition guys who are doing a good job promoting both their East and West series, which is the northern half of the country. So you have the Northeast, and they're in Colorado, and I think they may have some events in the Pacific Northwest, but that area is kind of a bit of no man's land with a lot of different manufacturers, and the racers, they're kind of a mind of their own. They're not necessarily like national brand loyal. They go with a lot of what works better in their region because you don't see a lot of names come out of that area outside of California. So congrats, of course, to those guys on the Team USA. Moving on to the Pro Kart Challenge over in California. Connor, you've raced and know a lot of those kids. We talk about the youth movement. You're the leader of the national youth movement, really, in the sport, and you've done a great job getting up front yourself. What stuck out to you of some of the guys you saw between KA Senior and beyond?
Definitely Ethan Lampy in the final with the 28th third. That was definitely the most impressive run because he just went to Croc promotion on the Mad Croc Kart, and to be able to do that well so quick, I think he doesn't have the funding to go run the big races like SKUSA and USPKS, and I think if someone gave him the chance, he'd do pretty well because he's been running out west for a while now, and I think he's grown pretty well, and I think he's good enough to go some of those big national races and do well.
Ryan, you've raced against a bunch of those guys over at Cali Pro Kart too. Any other notables you saw from the field?
I mean, other than Wareheim and Giebler getting out there, I thought that was pretty cool. It shows a lot, how strong the KA is at the regional series when you look at the numbers that they have for that, for the PKC every time. The KA is super strong. So it's kind of cool to see that that's growing and kind of taking over for the X30 in that area. Even though, I would wish there'd be more X30s, joining and racing, but it's cool to see that karting is growing in an area, just somewhere, and whether it's KA or not.
We did have a user question come in about that as well, and this one might open a big can of worms we may have to dive into the next commercial. We're going to talk about specifically, one guy asked why he thinks that karting in the U.S. might be a little bit smaller than what is over in Europe. And to me, at least from my answer first, I think the biggest thing is I don't know if it's necessarily smaller, but Europe doesn't have the dirt karting scene that the U.S. has. And so I think in number of go-karts, it's probably matched, or if not a little bit bigger. The big thing is that the sprint karting world sides and the original form of karting struggles with is the distance is so much larger. Where in Europe, everything's more condensed, both population size and, of course, by just because of that, there are tracks closer together, there's teams closer together, the championships can be closer together. Even the European Championships, they spend a lot of time between the WSK, the FIA European Championships. They do try to travel around a good bit, but they end up running a lot at the same Italian tracks, and all the major manufacturers are based out of there. So that helps too, because the cost can be a little bit lower, not going through the same chain of command, supply chain. You don't have the extra middlemen every single time, especially the guys in Italy. The dealers are direct from the manufacturer. It's not like there's another guy that's the country importer. So there's a couple reasons, I think, but we don't talk about it a ton on here. The dirt karting scene is a lead up to NASCAR, which is the most popular North American racing series by far, if you go off North American audiences. The NASCAR Xfinity Series regularly pulls more TV viewers than an F1 race and then an IndyCar race. In fact, even the new Tony Stewart SRX series that started pulled more viewers at about most of their events than IndyCar races and F1 races in the U.S. Now, F1's not at an opportune time most of the time, but it's a trickle-down effect because the biggest racing series have a ripple effect on the feeders, or at least smaller disciplines. And so with having the dirt karting scene bigger, it makes the sprint karting scene smaller because it's a ladder that's looked at more towards open wheel and sports car racing. So I think a number of reasons like that, but by having an extra middleman there, puts a bit of a wrench into it. But I think the overall karting scene's big. Just the dirt karting scene doesn't exist in Europe, and that's a split off that kind of is its own independent world from the sprint side. In any case, we'll talk more a little bit about that after, and we've still got to talk about more from the California Pro Kart Challenge, more, of course, from the CKNA North event at Shawano, and the Buckeye Karting Challenge with a couple names out of that, and some other big news we've got coming your guys' way after the commercial break here with our final segment on this episode of KC Happy Hour.
KC Happy Hour is presented by Precision Performance Karting. PPK is the exclusive South Florida dealer for Coyote Motorsports kart racing chassis and Coyote's newest distributor. However, owner John Seglem and Coyote Motorsports' relationship spans across numerous decades in the sport, meaning that you've got years of winning expertise at your service. PPK offers trackside support at all of the CKNA South Division events, the CKNA Majors, such as the Spring Nationals and the Grand Nationals, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and a number of club races in the Southeast. PPK also has an impressive driver roster at these events, racking up multiple wins and podiums in 2021 with longtime Coyote Motorsports driver Chris Carroll and KC Happy Hour's own Paulie Massimino and Brandon Jarsakrak. If you're looking to get on the same race-winning equipment as these drivers, from the Coyote Motorsports chassis to the Odenthal motor mounts and Greyhound racing seats, Precision Performance Karting has you covered. Check out Precision Performance Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or email them at ppkartingfl@gmail.com. KC Happy Hour is also presented by J. Howard Driver Development. JHDD is led by veteran IndyCar driver and Indy Lights champion Jay Howard, and has a complete internal ladder to bring you through the junior ranks of open-wheel car racing. Based in Westfield, Indiana, just minutes from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, JHDD is housed in a state-of-the-art, purpose-built race shop that includes an in-house simulator, custom machinery, and dyno tuning center. JHDD's driver ladder can begin either with the USF4 Championship or directly on the road to Indy with the USF 2000 Series, and can take you from there on up through FR Americas, Indy Pro 2000, and or Indy Lights. And the program goes beyond just racing events, of course. JHDD offers individual test days, as well as customizable testing programs, and even media assistance with its official media partner, Coforce. If you're a karting driver looking to make the jump to car racing, or if you're ready to further your car racing career, you can reach out to J. Howard Driver Development through their socials at followjhdd or their website, jhoward.com.
More of the data.
Welcome back, guys. We are back for the final segment here. We had a longer second segment. We got talking about a lot of races and still missed out a little bit on some of it. First of all, big shout out into the chat. Thank you for the donation for Rossi. It's the second episode in a row, buddy. We appreciate it. We also appreciate your comments on Ryan. I know Ryan, that's you love. You're a big Fra Rossi fan, right? Big supporter.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've talked before, quite a bit. Yeah, I think so. I message a lot of people, so I'm pretty sure we've chatted a few times.
Yeah, just a few times, and a few times spoken publicly
A
about
lot
you.
of times, a few times.
Brawl brings a lot of personality to the sport. He's a real funny guy. But Franco, we thank you for your support, buddy. We love you. And to answer our question, talking with Tim Straub-Lubin, who asked us the question about why the sport's not bigger, he brings a good point there as well. He has about 10 tracks all within 2 hours of him, where he runs between Gank and Kirpin. Oh, we just upped it. Another donation there. Franco, you're welcome to tell us to do anything. If you want us to put Ryan on mute, we will put Ryan on mute for the rest of the show. Throw another bit of money in there. Thank you.
Drinks on Franco.
Yeah, absolutely. And tequila shots. We've had questions about that. I don't know where that got mentioned or how that got out. My roommate was supposed to be bringing me tequila shots every single show, and he's let me down every single time. But we can't give them to everyone. If you want to see Connor Zillish take tequila shots, you've got to wait 6.5 more years.
You can do some non-alcoholic ones. We can get him a juice box.
We get Connor a juice box, and the rest of us can take shots. We'll do it over in North Carolina.
Polly, can you? How old are you?
Polly.
I'm close enough. We're all right.
No.
$10 donation in. $10 donation.
Oh,
in.
donation.
He's going off.
Ryan's done for the show.
Let's go.
Oh God. We're so off
Hey,
task.
Xander, we're talking about Seepkins on Saturday night.
We're not talking about Seepkins. I don't know how many times I'm going to bring up Road America. Listen, I clocked out of work on time. I clocked out late, clocked in early. We were fine. No penalties were missed at all. I felt fantastic on Sunday, so Saturday night had no effect on me. And we're going to close the chapter there. We
Shout out to Billy Vincent for that.
Oh gosh. Oh, we lost Connor for a second. Is he back?
I'm back.
All right, Connor's back. We're all out of sorts. Moving on. The last things we had shout-outs. We got to give some love, of course, to our Midwestern series. Again, we talked about the CKNA race over at Shawano. That one, Mick Gabriel ended up winning a good bit. He was not the only one to win. James Overbeck had a win on Saturday in Junior. In fact, Junior was really wide open. And then in Senior, a driver that we haven't really heard too much from, but she's been making some big waves as well. And that was the one who was actually able to beat Mick in the light division. That was Sophia Story, and so she won the senior light division, was running with him on the final lap, and she was the one that he got into it with and ended up getting put behind. So she had a very impressive weekend in the 365. Sophia, big shout out, good run over in Shawano, and that track is super cool. We talked about it last week. A couple of us have gotten to race there. It is a track that has a lot of elevation and character, and it's a completely different surface even to race on. I don't know how the 206 guys ended up doing. Hopefully, as we move forward with the show, we'll even get to have correspondence from each series, and we want to continue to highlight every aspect of the sport from our different regional series across the board, east, west, north, south, and from whatever classes they end up running in, because at the end of the day, we're all one big family. And I want to give another shout out as well to another young lady that did awesome. Addison Ianiello won 206 Junior over at the Buckeye Karting Challenge in Wilmington. That's a track that honestly I hadn't heard of until last year when the Buckeye guys started running there. And I think they've really done a great job rekindling the club scene at that track over in Ohio. AJ Roderick. Tyler Lemp's been a big kart chaser supporter. Shout out to you. Tyler Braden, you've worked with Tyler a good bit in the past. He's one of your drivers. He almost came out with the dub, ended up P2. So just a little bit short. Did better than your protege. We didn't get to talk about last week. Elliot Budzinski. Braden, you called him P1, man. We're a week late on this, but you got to have some excuse as to why he was not even in the top 10 at Road America.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened.
Jinxed it.
I wasn't there, so that may have, he might have struggled a bit. Might have needed some help.
But he gave you an invite. He told us specifically. He said, Braden has a couch to crash on. We want him here. We want him coaching. You turned him down.
I can't see. I need people to hire me in karting. Okay, I'm broke. I need money, and I'm trying to start a team, but I can only get like 2 people, and I barely make money off that. So I need people, karting dads out there. All right, hear me out. Braden Eves is your guy.
Self promo.
Self promo. Fair enough. we move on from all those. We do have a couple other things to touch on coming up this weekend. More touring series action. It doesn't stop. There's a lot of club racing as well over last weekend. It was a super busy weekend. I couldn't stop going through. It took up the entire page on Speed Hive just from one weekend alone. The sport's doing really good. A lot of clubs were hitting some real record highs over the summer. They were racing down in Homestead. They were racing in Georgia out west. There were a couple guys. I think I can't even remember all of them, but I'm gonna continue to give more shout outs as we get through the show. There's just so much racing going on, even with a weekend off the national scene, that a bunch of regional series, bunch of clubs turned out really well. Badger Kart Club up in Wisconsin had another big one. So shout out to all the club guys who are doing a fantastic job, and we want to bring more of you guys on here as well. So continue to share and shout it out. This weekend has some more regional racing going on. So we talked about the Stars Championship Series. That's where I'll be this weekend. We are racing up in Cincinnati. I'll be on the microphone for that one at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. That's the home of the Trinity Karting Group, and those guys have done a phenomenal job to their facility. There is a lot going on there. They're a full in-house shop. They can do just about everything in-house, even to engine building, to chassis straightening, to sticker kit design, and printing. And then, of course, the racetrack is about 3/4 mile, but they're going to be extending it. They've actually got an expansion plan in place. They've paved their whole paddock. They're doing everything they can to make themselves a national-level facility. Talk about Jersey being a track that could be a national USPKS or SKUSA or major touring series event. This track's right in the central area of the country. It's a little bit close to Newcastle, so that puts us 2 Midwest races on a major tour. But it's a really nice place that they're putting a lot of effort in, and we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to anyone who puts that kind of effort into growing the sport and giving us more places to race at. Even bigger than them, there's 2 major warm-up races. GoPro Motorplex has a club race. We don't talk about club races enough, but this one's just about a regional because this weekend we even got the legendary Ryan Norberg racing there. Of course, Paulie,
Club racer.
Connor
I'm gonna get
Zillich.
stomped.
I'm not racing it. I'm not racing it.
You're not. Oh, that's right, Connor. You're off racing cars this week.
Yeah, I'm on the road to Atlanta.
Yeah,
I
but
race
Paulie's
it.
racing.
Maybe.
Oh, no.
Usually I decide on Friday.
He's gonna race.
Yeah, he never decides early, especially for he doesn't even register before 5 minutes before practice goes out. So that's usually how it
You
rolls.
live there. You live.
We got another $5 dono.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
Who was it
Braden
this time?
Robertson
Raider.
said
Braden
Xander,
Robertson.
mad fine, to be honest.
Is that our sim for Xander right there?
Nah.
Oh,
That
that's a
might be.
fellow. I know Braden. Braden Robertson's a fellow Ginger. He's a very fast one as well. Better driver than I probably
He's
am.
throwing dollar bills your way,
He's throwing them
Xander.
around, man. You gotta have
Ryan,
some.
can I
love,
drive your
right?
cart
That's
on
super
Friday,
good.
or can I drive it one time?
Huh?
Can I drive your cart
What
one time
time?
on Friday? Yeah, one time.
You can drive with the practice engine on it.
Oh, what you hiding?
Feel the
Oh.
speed.
What are you hiding?
Feel the
should-
speed.
Hey, the practice engine's still probably better than what we
It's
got.
probably still faster than what you got. You'll probably get on it and be like, "Oh my
Screw
god!"
the engine.
Ask
Ask
him
him
for
for
the
the fuel
turbo.
tank, man. You need the RPG fuel tank. That's what it is, right, Ryan?
Yeah, because the stock fuel is not stock enough or whatever. You can mix it in front of the tech guys, and you're still cheating apparently.
No. RPG has. I think you guys have had a full clean record all this year. You know, you guys have been great through tech. Well, except for Tyner.
What are you
over
talking
at-
about? We've always had a clear record. We've never been bounced for anything. Like it doesn't make sense.
Tyner
Tyner got
got
bounced in
DQ'd at
Newcastle this year,
Newcastle.
but that was
Yeah,
not
but that was for a clutch issue because his
Clutch
clutch
grease.
got burned up when
Clutch
he
grease.
drove
He was
over
on-
Brandon.
Yeah.
So
was
yeah,
sabotage.
that's what. Yeah, exactly. Brandon set us up. If it weren't for Brandon, we'd be fine.
Exactly.
And he's just trying to take out the competition. Such a big
Rowan
issue.
asked a good question. What track's gonna replace Ocala on the USPKS calendar?
That is a
Okay,
good
see.
question. And I would say
Orlando.
Orlando doesn't have
Pittsburgh.
parking space.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they bought it back. They bought it back.
They have
Even with the
parking.
space they have, it's still a tight fit. They're, even
Nah.
with the
Yeah, it's
more
gonna be
space
tight.
back,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's going to be really tight. It's interesting though because with the Florida guys following, now I think they're pretty set on that series. So if they wanted to try and move a Florida date away for the next year, I think they could do it. They have been talking for a long time of trying to see where they can inch their way to be a little bit bigger. And one track I know that has been vying really hard to get a USPKS date in the future is a track that's going to be having over 170 drivers possibly more this weekend. That's Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston for the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Texas has been growing massively with that series, especially. They have 41 KA seniors this weekend racing. They are 20 plus in about every other class, or at least mid-teens. So that's a track that I think would be a fantastic pick for USPKS if they wanted to get their audience a little bit bigger. They already have a bunch of Texas teams following: Crosslink, Iron Rock, obviously Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, the actual Burrell Art team based at Speed Sports, follows the whole series as well. So there's a lot of guys already from Texas following. Makes it a lot easier for the guys out west too, the Arizona teams, the Colorado teams, to justify going, because Wisconsin's not necessarily that much farther east. And if they have a second date that kind of borders towards the center of the country, if they can manage to keep the loyalty of the Florida teams and lose that Florida date, I think they still do good. But Orlando would be a great option because that's a good track.
CMP.
Cincinnati's been trying to get up there. What were you going to say, Connor?
CMP. Does anyone like CMP?
The thing about CMP and the big thing these series always have to talk about is that Kershaw, South Carolina, is that if it's so close to another date in the series, then they're going to potentially like lock out some of the audience, because if they don't feel like the series bounces around enough, they're not going to want to go there. So in the series, because they have to pick on a track in each region pretty much to get that region to hopefully follow the whole championship. If you have two in the same region too close, and that's the one issue I think the Cincinnati guys are going to run into. Hopefully not, and hopefully it's strong enough that they can do that. Or if the sports regional series in that area can support the track enough that it can take a year off a national date, you can rotate in the region. But with as big as GoPro is and as small as CMP is, I think it's going to be really hard pressed to see GoPro ever lose a date in a USPKS series beyond the relationship with Miami and everything because of CMP. But it'd be very interesting to see if it does go through. So Speed Sports, I think, is definitely on the short list for USPKS, or should be. The Cincinnati track with Trinity, those guys putting a lot of effort in. That could be it. New Jersey, I think the region isn't strong enough to support it, where enough local guys would be able to join the series to make it worthwhile to go that far northeast. But then Orlando is another option as well, if they can do it. The thing with Orlando, too, is it's such a tourist destination that those guys make so much money on rental carts just by location. It's really hard for them to justify completely blocking out a race weekend without hiking the rates up to the point the series doesn't make any money.
And
So that's another thing too.
Also, would
Go to
Orlando,
Jacksonville.
I thought
Andre
was
allow?
Rock.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Would Andre allow?
Andre's for racing. He's wanted to do it for quite some time now. He's been talking to me about wanting to get back to racing and have some events there. It's hard with the politics of karting, man. The way it's gotten nowadays with the tracks and Rock versus Miami and everybody wanting to be an Miami series or a Rock track. It's difficult to like nail your track down to just one engine package and not let anybody else race it. So it's I don't know, as a track owner, I know it's very difficult to like nowadays to plan a race. It's a lot more difficult than just like blocking out a few days. You've got to like dedicate your whole facility to one engine package now.
Yeah, they do want. I mean, the whole year gets structured around it, right? The series will not come if you can't usually provide about 50 to 75 club guys to supplement the touring people that follow the series. That's about the number, more or less, that each of these series is looking for in terms of a boost by going to a new region. And so for you to have 50 club guys go, you're only getting your top half of the club guys that'll even want to go to a national. So you've got to have a healthy club of at least 100 club drivers, and then all 100 of those guys need to be running Miami motors, or whatever motor is going to be that national event coming to town, or 50 out of the 100 to feel like they're good enough to go and enter that race and spend the extra money. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, it seems, again, like you said, Andre's been working really hard to get racing there. He's been putting on a lot of, he has a free kid kart series he launched this year. He's got the club racing he's been still making a lot of time for. And Sunshine State Karting Challenge, the official Florida State Championship, is really trying hard to work with Andre, of them together to make that work. That's in the same family ownership group as the Homestead and GoPro Motorplex tracks. So there's a lot that company has going on. There's a lot, obviously, Andre's got going on. That's why that deal hasn't been finalized. But that could be a date that's coming together really soon. And that would at least be an Miami-based series laying the groundwork for the USPKS guys to come to town. So it's an option. It would just be really tight for sure on the parking. In any case, though, we do have our last bit of major news. If you have not been following the Kart Chasers socials, guys, we are going live. Our first ever live race broadcast presented by Hunt Brothers Pizza, the Miami USA Grand National Championship next week at a GoPro Motorplex. I said everyone here is racing. Right before we went on the air, literally 5 minutes before we went on the air, Braden Eves was on the phone with Will Power Kart and MPG Motorsports. Gord himself put together a ride. He's racing. Brandon Jarzakrak's racing and with Mike Doty racing. Connor will be racing under Nitro Kart. Paulie under the new Ryan Perry Motorsport colors. And, of course, Ryan will be racing back-to-back weeks at the club race and the national. I'll be on the microphone. I've got another announcer you guys are going to love coming with us as well. We've got multiple camera guys coming in. I'm stressed out. The camera bill was crazy, but thank God we have some amazing partners making this all possible. We're going to be live on YouTube the entire day. We're going to try and go live on Facebook as much as we can. And since we're all going to be in transit, traveling, or already in North Carolina, including myself, we'll be doing a live in-person KC Happy Hour on Wednesday night at a normal time at 8 p.m. So don't tune in Monday night. I'll be in the air. The rest of these guys will be somewhere between North Carolina and their homes. But Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have some special guests joining us. Maybe a little bit of smack talk from some of the tuners, the Rental Kart Tuner Challenge. That's all coming your way, guys. Next week, we're going live in person, having everyone together. And who knows, maybe we're shaving Brandon Jarzakrak's head. Maybe we're bringing the boxing gloves out. And we're going to have Ryan and Paulie finally throw hands after no panel last
Don't
year.
close it out. Don't close it out yet. Don't close it out yet. We got a simp for Beeves
Oh, we have a new
in the
one.
chat.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Rowan Gill
very good.
Racing, if you drive a
Shout out
Burrell,
to
you
guys
aren't
donating.
valid.
$2 from Rowan Gill saying if you drive a Burrell, you aren't valid. Anytime someone donates, we're going to have to read it. So thank you, Rowan. And Braden Robertson says nobody likes people named Frankie. So finally, another Frankie Mossman hater. Frankie, obviously. Don't show up to GoPro next week if you're planning on it, because I'll find a way to get you DQ'd again.
Come on.
Oh, I'm kidding. All right.
I gotta read the last one that just came through.
Oh, jeez. I think Xander's kind of cute. Thanks, Braden.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. Check our Facebook group chat. One more chat there. Cooper Beasley was asking about SSKC. I think we talked about that. SSKC is working on going to Orlando. That one's not fully finalized yet. Obviously, I work really, really closely with that series, just like Ryan works really closely with Orlando Kart Center. Our two bosses above us, Eric and Andre, are still trying to get together fully to lock things down. Whenever they do, Ryan and I will get the word and we'll be able to officially confirm that with you guys. But that's on that series. Shortlist is to bring the SSKC series full circle to Orlando and connect the three big Florida tracks that we have going now between Anderson, Orlando, and Homestead. So those will all be coming together. I think we're good. So I think we can close it out. Connor, is there any final comments here? Because I think we're good.
Looking, I don't
Wait.
see
They're
any-
talking about the tuner race. They're saying Carmine Caruso is winning it for sure.
My money is
he
on
the tuner?
Carmine.
How old is that kid? Is
I
he
don't
old
know.
enough? I don't know if
He's probably 17.
He tuned one time at Oakland Valley, right, Brandon?
Brandon.
Did you call it tuning, Brandon?
Sorry, my AirPods stopped working. I can barely hear you guys. But Carmine, I don't know how old he is, honestly.
He's 17. I'm pretty sure.
All right.
He tuned for George recently, I think.
You got to be some kind of tuner, or at least a dad. You know, you get the kids out there, it's a little bit different. I mean, there are like 17-year-old tuners, but it'd be cool.
Honor is Sibish.
Well, boys, episode 3, happy hour. We're going to wrap it up here tonight. When we come back live, we'll get to read all your guys' comments live next week. We'll get everyone sat next to each other. And so the beef goes off the internet and goes in person. We can't wait to show you it. And I'll make sure we have the boxing gloves set. Whoever wants to jump in and throw some hands. Maybe we do it on setup day. Maybe we do it after practice day. We'll find out. We'll stream it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the donations. It helps pay a little bit of these guys' pockets, makes back the webcam money I was able to send to a couple their way. We're going to keep the shows coming. See you guys next week.